Hey, welcome to another episode here on the podcast of the Heart Warrior Project. I'm Yelis Vaz and I'm your host. In this episode, I'm talking to a member out of our community, George, who lives with a progressive life-threatening heart disease. I live with one as well. Now, this episode is actually a part of an in-depth episode/video about life with heart disease, where a couple of people, which is George, Karen, another member out of our community, me, share from our personal experience how it's been to live with heart disease. So we share our personal insights and takeaways, but then also Dr. Sears, who is a clinical health psychologist, who does this incredible work for people with heart disease. He shares his professional insights. I had to cut quite a lot of pieces out of the full conversation with George, which you're about to listen to very soon for that video. Otherwise, it would have been just way too long, like 3 or 4 hours. But I wanted to release it as just a whole episode because there were so many incredible things that George shared that, I think some people can definitely benefit from. Now, if you want to listen or watch to the in-depth video/episode about life with heart disease that I just talked about, then check the description. I will place a link there. Or just scroll through the list of episodes on whichever podcast app that you're using to find it. Or if you're watching on YouTube, then you will also likely quite easily find it. Without further ado, let's jump into the episode with George. Let's have a conversation about life with heart disease. George, can you briefly or extensively, but share what heart disease that you have and when did you learn about it?
Sure. I have a heart condition called DSP, cardiomyopathy. DSP relates to desmoplakin, which is a kind of protein which helps to hold the cell junctions together. And in my case, and in people who have DSP cardiomyopathy, that protein is lacking, or there's a lower supply of it. Yeah. And so it basically means that the cell junctions don't hold together very well, and that particularly manifests itself in the heart wall, the heart muscle wall. It's a genetic condition, and it can also affect the skin, so it can cause calluses on the hard skin on the feet and hands, and it also has an effect on hair. People who have DSP often have woolly or dry hair, which my hair is short at the moment, but I usually have very curly and very dry, thick hair. So I only discovered that I had it in December last year, 2024. I had a previous history with heart issues, so I'm 32 now, but when I was 19, I was taken to hospital in Rome because I was having the symptoms of a heart attack, basically. So having pain radiating across the chest and the back. I was vomiting relentlessly. Wow. And anyway, they took me to the hospital and discovered that my heart muscle was swollen. And so they kept me in intensive care for a bit, and then I was kept in hospital.
Wait, that was just on a vacation?
Yeah, I was on a family holiday. Yeah, we'd
my God.
We'd just been to. It was quite a day. It was quite a hot day. We'd just been to the Vatican, which was kind of amazing to see. And then was having dinner out, and I just said to the rest of my family, I need to go back to the room because I don't feel good. I'm really aching across my neck. I'm gonna have a shower, cool down.
You were doing nothing particular of extra, walking. I mean, you said it was hot. But you were just sitting.
Yeah, I mean, it was August in Rome, so that gets hot for sure. But I wasn't doing any strenuous exercise at all, so it just came on very suddenly. I mean, I guess I had it was over a few hours in the early evening, and then by the middle of the night, I couldn't stop throwing up. I was in such pain across the chest and back, and I was. So my family thought there was something wrong, so they called the paramedics and they said, we've got to get you in. And at the time they just said, you're really unlucky. This happens to young people, especially people who are quite active, quite sporty, which I am or was more at the time, and they just put it down to an infection, like a viral infection, which causes myocarditis, which is a swelling of the heart muscle, and pericarditis, which is a swelling of the heart lining or the heart sac. And they said, it's unfortunate, but it happens. And I returned to Belgium to see a cardiologist, and I was followed by the cardiologist for about 4 years, and he put me on medication to just to be sure that no further, basically, because when the heart muscle inflamed, it caused fibrosis or scarring, which if that gets too extensive over the long term, obviously that can be a problem because it can start to change the structure of the heart, if I'm not mistaken.
So, sorry, I'm just curious now. So they said it's probably just an inflammation, but then you still got referred to a cardiologist in Belgium, or did you just kind of said, I'm going to check one up? Yeah,
no, they told me I had to go and see a cardiologist.
Okay.
I think the inflammation was quite significant. It wasn't just a small inflammation. So they said, you need to go and see someone and be followed by someone. And at that point, I think they did an MRI and they saw basically the damage that had been done. And it wasn't insignificant. So they said, we should put you on medication, an ACE inhibitor, basically to stop any further scarring, which you're probably familiar with. And then, I was followed I was on that medication for about 4 years, and I think maybe 4 or 5 years. And then at that point, I went back for my yearly check, and they said to me, everything looks good. You're kind of out of that phase of just post-event phase.
Okay.
You can come off the medication and you can pretty much entirely live normally. And
Great news.
I'd like, super. I'd like to see you maybe every 5 years just to be 100% sure. We could do a check, and if there's anything, So that was, maybe I'm getting the timings mixed up, but it was about 8 or 9 years ago they said that to me. And then about 2 years ago, I was living in Canada. I spent a year there with my partner, and I was getting chest pains basically, but not the kind of heart attack sort of symptoms, but just almost like someone was poking the area of the chest where the heart is, very quite repeatedly, and it was quite painful. But then it would subside, and so I thought, okay, well, maybe because often if you have pain or discomfort there, it's often down to digestion or heartburn, that sort of thing. So it was hard to distinguish, but it was thanks to my partner in the end who said to me, when we go back to Belgium, you should get this checked out, and so I did, and they did another MRI scan, I guess a decade after my first one, and then they said, something has changed here, and it shouldn't have changed. If it were just a virus, then it would have stayed normal because there was nothing. That was just an acute event, and we're seeing. I don't know the exact technical details of the change, but basically they noticed a change in the structure, I think, of one of the ventricles, if I'm not mistaken. And they said something is different, and we need to look more into this. And they suggested I see a geneticist, and I did. And one of the first things the geneticist asked me, apart from the family history, was, do you have dry skin on your hands and feet? And I said, yes, I do, strange enough, but why do you ask that? And he basically explained to me that there's this somewhat rare gene mutation called DSP, and people who have it have the following symptoms, and the hard skin is one of them, and the heart problem is another. And so I got the results in December last year, Christmas last year, and the rest is history. I guess.
Yeah. So major changes, right, in a short time that just all happened very recently.
Yeah.
Do you still recall the initial kind of, I don't know, feeling that you had when you heard that diagnosis?
I remember it just being a shock. Part of me wanted to have clarity on what was happening. And so in a way, I was happy that I knew what was going on. And it wasn't just endless tests and we have no idea what's happening to you. So part of me was not happy, but relieved in a way. But then...
Yeah.
But then then as I started to process it, obviously I realised that it's not particularly good news. So no, I felt like I wanted to cry immediately afterwards, but then I kind of kept it together as I do too often, especially as men. We need to cry more, but we don't. And then So the immediate feeling was kind of just, okay, wow, that's a shock, but let's keep it together and see what happens. And then obviously in the days leading up to Christmas, I think it was, that's when it all started to dawn on me, and that's when I came across the Heart Warrior Project, because I couldn't sleep one night and just started doing lots of research, which is not always a good idea, but because you read all sorts of things, but thankfully I came across some good stuff as well, including you and the Heart Warrior Project. So
you couldn't sleep because of which thoughts, worries, but what were the worries, if you recall?
I think I was just realizing that things were going to be, it was just, my life was changing quite significantly, and and I'd been told at that point that my cardiologist needed to ask around for some advice, but I think basically he said, I'm pretty sure we need to insert an ICD. And that was really weighing on me, because that felt like I didn't fully know what it was about, but I knew that it was quite a big life change, and so I was just feeling the weight of imminent change, things that were going to be very different from now on.
When did you get the ICD actually?
I got it on the 29th of January, so it was quite a quick turnaround, which I think. Obviously in Belgium, as you know, we're quite lucky to have that kind of level of care where you can just, the next month have something done, whereas I know people have to wait a long time for it. So in a way, it was good to get it done quickly. And the end of January. Recovery time was quite long. I had mine put under the muscle as opposed to under the skin, which takes a bit longer to recover. But I discovered, I don't know if this has to be on the video, but
sure.
I discovered yesterday, I was speaking to Professor Sannen and asked him about why some people have it under the skin and some under the muscle. And it was very interesting. He said in 99% of the cases, we don't recommend it putting under the muscle.
Oh, interesting.
Which is really interesting. Whereas in Brussels, they didn't say that to me. They just said, oh, aesthetically, you're younger, you're more active, we can put it under the muscle, but it can be a bit more painful afterwards, general anesthetic, etc. So I thought, well, let's do it, because I have that option. But he said to me, we don't recommend it, because if you have to change it, and obviously every 10 years or so you have to change it, it's a pretty major intervention again, and also because of the way you have to create a pocket in the pectoral muscle, and it can be a little bit, I think from what he was saying, placing it properly so that the leads don't dislodge is not always easy, and so there's a higher risk of that being a problem. So I just but these are things you learn afterwards as well when you see other people.
You got the ICD placed in Brussels, right? So at another hospital, and then you went now to Antwerp, right?
Exactly.
Different cardiologists. So different opinions. You learn this along the way, right? But then you have this thing in your body, and you're like, oh wait,
you don't really have much. It's good to learn about them, but of course you don't. By this point, you don't you don't have a choice. But hey, it's the way it is, and I'm still getting used to it. Of course, it takes a bit longer. And actually, he said actually it can be up to 2 years for the some people it can be really quick, some people it can take longer for it to kind of the tissue to form around the device, and obviously for me it seems to be taking a bit longer.
Why do you say that? Like, in which way do you notice it?
It kind of feels like I still have a bruise. Like, it feels like it's bruised here, and it's particularly when I've done something more like exertion or a certain kind of movement. Like, I've been carrying a backpack in the last month or so, and if I do something a little bit too much with my left arm, I 100% feel it. Like, it feels kind of sore. Like, it needs to rest a bit. Almost like, you've hit yourself there, and it's kind of. So, and he said that it's not abnormal, but sometimes it just takes a little while. So maybe I've got another year or so or maybe less. We'll see. But just to fully heal.
It's of course not fun to feel this now, this kind of bruise when you exercise or do something. But I guess at least knowing like, maybe it's not completely unusual, can be at least a bit hopeful.
Yeah, definitely.
Can improve, right?
Definitely, yeah. I thought, a part of me thought, they've maybe placed it slightly badly, and then you can't really do much about that. So, knowing, you're absolutely right. Knowing that it's probably just a question of time, it feels better. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I often feel like this feeling of hope when they say like, but there's this new possibility, or there's this new medication, or this new thing. It's kind of weird how much hope this sometimes can bring of like, perhaps my discomfort level can decrease a little bit, right? Or what you with your ICD now, right? All these little pieces of hope are quite significant in what we're carrying with us. The heart disease, the ICD, the medication, the psychology of dealing with all that.
Yeah. It can seem like small things, but they can make a difference. Yeah.
I remember with my ICD that there was like these little electrical shocks that I was experiencing through my body, and I was going so crazy. It was the first 6 months, right? I was like, holy hell, this is now the reality for the rest of my life. But it was just my ICD doing checks, like reading something so I could feel it. And then I told Dr. Sane this, and he was like, oh yeah, we can turn that off. And I was like, oh my God, that like some hope of like, it's not going to be like this forever. Oh, I still feel that so much right now when I share this, that it was like so big actually.
That's a
but
major
it sounds so
difference.
small, but it's big.
That's a huge, that makes a...
It's like
your
relief.
Totally, yeah. It's your everyday life, your everyday experience of what's happening in your body.
Yeah.
But and he was just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But to you, it's
huge.
It's a massive thing. Yeah.
So I'm also hoping with you that in a year or even shorter, you're not going to experience that discomfort there.
Thank you. I hope so.
So before we pressed record, you just shared that you recently went for a checkup, right? And these checkups, I don't know for you, but I guess in a similar way, they bring up this topic again from of heart disease. They make it again a reality. When you were like talking to your cardiologist, how in general does it feel today? Since it was so recent to check up, I'm kind of using that. But how in general does it feel for you today to talk about you having heart disease?
How does it feel to talk about it specifically?
Yeah, or to know that you have it.
Today, I mean, it was yesterday, my checkup, so it feels very fresh. And the kind of overwhelming feeling that I had yesterday and today, I've definitely been feeling it. I mean, I feel I have tiredness from a long journey I've recently taken, but I definitely like feeling the weight of what we talked about yesterday. And it was, it's just this feeling of uncertainty, I think, about the future that, even when when you were inviting me to come on to talk, and you were framing it in terms of like a progressive, life-threatening disease, and I think in some ways I hadn't quite registered that, but and then yesterday's conversation with my cardiologist really hit me. So, and it just kind of created this feeling of, nothing is really certain, and I know that's obviously that's true of every living being in a way, because we have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. But this just brings it into really sharp focus, and it makes it really, real and quite frightening, because obviously you go about your life, but you don't know what's going on inside of you until you go and see someone who tells you what's happening. And what if in a year they say, well, it's actually got worse, or it's we're going to have to do this. And so I think it's like this feeling of living with uncertainty is quite frightening, which obviously is, particularly as younger people, we didn't, I can't speak for you, Yelis, because I know you've been dealing with this for much longer, but certainly me, not something I really had to think about before. And I was speaking to a friend recently, and she was trying to make light of it, as people do, and I think that comes from a place of fear as well. Someone they love or someone they care about is maybe threatened in some way, and they try and make light of it. But it kind of annoyed me a little way, because she was kind of like, you're getting older, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'm getting older, but that's not what this is about, and this is different somehow. So,
do you feel like it was her minimizing in a certain way what actually is really going on?
Yeah, definitely. Not either. Not understanding it, or
not acknowledging,
not acknowledging it. Yeah,
this is not nothing, right?
Right.
It's again, it's a progressive, life-threatening heart disease.
Yeah,
it's not called like that because it's good.
Exactly. None of those words.
Because it's natural,
are nice.
or so.
Yeah.
But that whole sentence, that's very heavy to hear, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Especially the word progressive.
Yeah.
And a life-threatening, of course, too. But progressive creates the uncertainty, right? It's
that's it. Yeah.
Who knows? Like you said, in about a year, who knows?
Yeah, that's frightening, and I mean, I think over time you can harness that and turn it into a strength and say, or into some kind of wisdom, and say, tomorrow's never promised, and so do this, do that. But at the same time, you're also a normal person who has the ups and downs of life, and I feel like it's not always easy to be able to just say, I'm going to seize every day, of course, but it's, you still have normal life to kind of navigate and sail through. So,
challenging, right?
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah,
you bet. Yeah.
Because I mean, when I talk about my heart disease, or when I see you talk about it now, we kind of laugh.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's sometimes like, I don't know. It's a lot, and it's unfortunate in some sense that people don't actually really visibly can see that it is quite serious, and it is not easy. I mean, certain days are easier than others, but it's quite a lot to hassle with on top of just normal life.
Yeah.
And I mean, life by itself is already like, that's already a lot to deal with. Yeah. And then we got like a disease on top of it.
Yeah.
And not just the disease, right? Also the medication, the ICD, a lot of worries. Totally. Yeah, it's a lot together.
Absolutely it is. And like I said, I think when people minimize it, it's not that they don't care, or it's either not understanding because you haven't, either because it's hard to explain, or you haven't been able to communicate it in. I mean, how can you communicate it in a way that makes people understand how you feel? That's very difficult. But also, I think a lot of people at least in our culture, and maybe in the West more, that we're not very good at like dealing with hard things, and just if someone says something difficult to you, just letting it be difficult and not trying to like brush it off as, oh well, you're getting old. That's of course we need humor. We need humor as well, and like you just said, you and I were smiling, we're laughing, and that's important. That's so important. But I think it's also important just to, like, if you just say to someone that you love, it's been a really shit day, and I don't know, my heart could get a lot worse in the next year, and that's really hard. And then just let that be as it is, and not try to say, oh well, there's maybe gene therapy coming that might help you, or there's maybe this. Of course, these are important things, but yeah, you need a balance. I think I
so much agree with what you're saying. I so much agree, but it's often for the other person uncomfortable.
Yeah.
To kind of just not come up with solutions, but just kind of sit together with that person's pain.
Exactly.
Right. But for the person with, the pain, with the discomfort, or it actually feels less alone when the other person can do that. Right? When they can just sit with you.
That's it. That's so true.
And it's I think we're only almost, because we have this disease, we know what is helpful, we know what is not helpful when someone tries to help. Yeah, it's unfortunate that sometimes the only way to really know what is actually helpful is by having it happen to us.
Yeah, it's so true. Just having someone sit with the pain with you, and you don't. I think a lot of people don't realize how powerful that can be, actually.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
Since we're kind of on the topic, what do you feel is something that people still don't really understand about your heart disease, or you having it? Like friends, loved ones, your partner. Is there something that you feel they often misunderstand about it?
The thing that comes to mind immediately is goes back to this word of progressive, in a way, because I've had it happen once or maybe twice. Someone sort of say, "Oh, okay, well, you had this operation, so it's resolved, right?" and I get that, and I think often we think of like surgery or operations as almost like solutions, things that I don't know, you have a broken bone, or you have, I don't know, whatever it may be,
sure,
and you kind of have a neat resolution to it. And I've never used the word progressive before in talking to people about it, but part of me feels like I would like that would be helpful to better explain to people, because otherwise it can feel like, okay, oh, you had that really difficult event back in, at the beginning of the year when you had your surgery, and you kind of felt like everyone was there and supportive and everything, and then that's kind of as it does, it's normal, and that kind of trickles away, and
yep,
people go back to their normal lives. But I guess in answer to your question, it's the idea of that this is something for life, and it's something that could or may or may not get worse, and it's not just something that you can tie up and say, okay, that was difficult and it's done now, and you go back. You don't go back. Your life is completely turned upside down. So
yep.
So it's that, I guess. Yeah.
I even feel after a lot of years, I'm still struggling with the word progressive.
Right.
Right.
Why are you struggling with it?
I mean, not like I'm resisting it, but it's just strange to have that being labeled on me while I'm young. Or I don't sometimes know exactly what to feel about it. Like, what do you feel about this? And I think it can change, right? Sometimes you can accept it one day or a year, and then you can feel angry about it because something happens. Why? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it got worse, or just it's more on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, it's not just gonna be one emotion.
No, absolutely.
It's gonna be many emotions that you're gonna experience on that word or on the heart disease.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. That you don't think it's not. Yeah, one day you may feel you just break down because you think, well, that's it. I have no idea what my life's going to be like, and then other days where you feel more, okay, I can do this. It's
exactly.
Right. Yeah, and it's really good to be aware of that, to know that it's not just going to be a smooth ride. It's going to be up and down, like life is, I guess, but with this extra, this extra piece, yeah. Do you still feel communicating? Do you still find it difficult to kind of get your point across, or to clearly communicate? Okay. Even now.
Of course. Yeah.
After all these
I mean,
years.
most people who meet me, right, who don't know me, have no clue that I have a heart disease, right? It's the same like you. The same like. Well, I guess almost everyone, right? You don't see it. So that's one part. I don't also share it. I mean, makes maybe sense. I don't share it to everyone, but to very close friends mainly. But even to them, and I know that they try, but they see me mostly fine. They don't see my not good days.
Yeah.
That's when I'm not out. That's when I'm lying on the couch. That's when I'm, not being social. They don't see that. And so therefore it's also, and not because they don't want to see it, but it just, but therefore I think it's also harder for them to really grasp sometimes how challenging it can be. And it goes for my family also, right? So I still struggle quite a lot to convey how challenging it can be, or what is actually going on. And I guess I've come to some sort of term, in some sense, that they can't know.
No.
Right? That's just kind of lonely also, right? Which is why I think it's so, helpful for me to talk to someone like you or others, because they can come the closest to kind of understanding this. Right? I, for example, will never completely get what you're all going through, but I think at least that I can get perhaps a bit more than someone who doesn't have this.
Absolutely.
So I kind of came to that kind of term, like, okay, I will try to explain. I will see how they're listening. If they're interested, I will explain more. If they're not, I kind of round it up and I'm like, okay. But I also came to the term, like, they're probably never going to completely exactly understand this, which makes sense. But it's also hurtful and painful and lonely and all that. Because it is a lonely place to exist in sometimes.
Yeah, lonely is such, that's a really, really helps to describe it, definitely. Even those who try their very best to understand or of course you can never fully communicate it, but
How do you feel actually, if in any way your relationships with people has changed after this diagnosis?
I guess there are two relationships that I could speak to in particular, that comes to mind immediately. First is to do with family, because this is I have a genetic condition, and so the last few months have been a bit weird, I guess, in the sense that I went through the operation and the diagnosis and whatnot, and then little by little people in my family have had to get tested, and so there's been quite a sort of anxious wait for whether it's positive or negative, and it turns out that actually two of my three sisters and my dad have this gene, but like I think you were saying at the beginning, it doesn't always manifest itself. You can have the gene and go throughout your whole life and never have anything, and never have any problems at all, and that seems to be the case with all of my family members, which is great. But then it kind of, I don't quite know how to describe it yet because it's still quite early, but it feels like something's different. But like between I'm very close to my sisters and very close to my dad, thankfully, but just seeing how they deal with knowing that they have the positive gene, but then also knowing that I'm the one who kind of has to suffer with it in a way. And I don't know how that's going to affect things in the long term. I hope it doesn't. Obviously, don't hope it doesn't affect things negatively. But it just, I can find no other word for it than strange. No. Strange or funny. It's a funny feeling.
Yeah. But do you feel like in some way they feel sorry for you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, well, my dad's told me he's very sorry for my older sister. My older sister's a doctor as well, and so she's very like tuned into she does a lot of research, and so she's much more. She said to me a few times, "I'm just so sorry that you have to go through this, and that you have to be." So, yeah, so maybe that's a part of it, being felt sorry for, and so that's one relationship, and then the other one, of course, is my girlfriend, my partner, and this is it. I don't know how you put this exactly, but you, I mean, having her there throughout this process, even in these last 8 months or so, has been like a source of immense support, and I think it does something. I don't quite know what it is yet, but it does something to your relationship as well, because you obviously you go through something hard together, because it's obviously you're the one dealing with the disease, but then that has huge effects on the person that you're with, as I'm sure you know, and and just thinking about this, I have one of my best friends, her now husband, not long before they got married, I think he was young and he had testicular cancer, and I remember her saying to me that either kind of breaks you or it makes it really clear that you're going to be together, and that it's going to be and it feels like I'm kind of this process has been really strengthening in a way, like for our relationship, but it's also it puts a different like color on the relationship, and and it's a heck of a lot for a partner as well to go through this. And we were talking about uncertainty and the progressive nature of things.
Yeah, exactly.
That, like, what does that, and we tried to speak about that, but I'd like to do that more to understand what that feels like. You commit to someone, but then there's also this element of uncertainty in what life is going to be like. So in a way, I think that's when you also know as well, because if you're willing to do that, you're willing to say, this might be hard, but I'm still gonna stick with you. That's a lot, I think. Yeah. And I think it will evolve as well. I don't fully know how it will affect us, but it definitely changes things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're right. It doesn't only affect you, right? It affects the people around you, your partner, a lot. Yeah. I also think it can be different things, right? It can maybe make you come closer, but then also maybe drive you apart at another point, or the opposite, right? You might be driven apart and then come closer again. I don't know. It's also, again, it's not just one color, I guess, here.
It's messy.
But the uncertainty, that's scary, not alone for you, but also for her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I imagine as well that, I guess, for you and other survivors, because I'm not a cardiac arrest survivor, and I imagine that has a whole other kind of quality to it. Like what especially, I mean, that's maybe another conversation, but
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I guess there's more emotions. Oh well, maybe not more. Yeah, there is definitely some other package of emotions
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of
Definitely.
thrown in there. Yeah,
Definitely. Mm.
yeah. I mean, so we're talking about uncertainty, but I guess that also means in certain. Well, let me rephrase this actually in some other way. Because I'm curious to just ask you about limitations, because you have received, like me, but you have received limitations, right? And being one, a young person, two, someone, as you said, who likes to exercise, right? Who is very healthy, who likes to be active. Yeah, not easy to then get limitations being put on you. How has that been for you?
It's still early days because it was only, I guess, 7-8 months ago, and my life has been quite in flux for the last year. It just so happens to be like that. Nothing to do with my heart condition. Just my life is a little bit unstable at the moment. So I haven't. I guess I haven't quite fully sensed the impact of the limitations yet, just because I've been moving around a lot, doing lots of different things. But it's a big deal for me. It's a big deal for me, in that it kind of links back to your question about communicating it to others. Because often when I've tried to say that to people, I don't know. This is my interpretation of how they react. It doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. It's like, okay, well, sure, you don't, too bad kind of thing. But for me, it was a huge hit to be told that I that was it. Like that, I could never do any strenuous exercise, or even like you were saying earlier, 130 BPM is my limit, and that's really very little. It's something, but it's really quite little, and so I feel it. Yeah, I mean, in terms of sport and exercise, I think has always been a big part of my identity as well, and being active and all those things, and I like pushing myself and that sort of thing. So knowing that has basically, I mean, of course, I'm free to do what I choose, right? I mean, the cardiologist can tell me something, but I can, of course, it's my choice. But at the same time, it's clearly the advice to limit the progressiveness of this thing as much as possible. He told me again yesterday. He was very firm. He just said, like, I couldn't be more make more of a point of this, that strenuous exercise is probably the biggest factor that's going to that determine one way or another whether this gets worse or not. So obviously the choice is limited, but and it's in the day-to-day as well. I mean, just being just like small silly things, that just like carrying something, or it's maybe a hotter day and you just end up doing something that might be a bit more strenuous, and at the moment it's constantly on my mind, and I just think just things I would have been able to do before, I just have to be so much more careful of now. And it has like a psychological effect as well, about how weak. I don't know about you, but it makes me just feel weak and like almost fragile, like you can't.
Fragile.
Yeah.
While like, you know what you're able or capable of doing, right?
Yeah.
You're able to do all those activities with ease, but somewhere you also know in your head, but this is gonna make it worse for my heart.
Right.
And so it makes you feel fragile in a sense, for sure.
Totally. Yeah. Like you would as an older person, I guess. If you were old and frail, it's almost like that. Like, oh, don't, and then other people kind of react to that, or don't, like particularly members of my family who say, oh no, don't do that. Don't pick that up, or don't. And that just feels so kind of, restrictive and difficult, because then people view you as, that's going to take some time to get used to, I guess. And find your sense of strength somewhere else, maybe, and not be too identified with with that part of you. But yeah.
Do you feel like some kind of identity crisis is happening? Since being active was such a big part of you, and it's kind of, I mean, to a degree at least, to a big degree, is kind of taken out now? Or...
There's definitely something, there's some kind of breakdown of some sort in my sense of who I am. Definitely, like it feels. I mean, the restriction is a big part, the exercise and being active and that sort of thing, but also just the rhythm of my life now, and with the medical checkups and the medication and the way it makes me feel physically, and so maybe not full-blown crisis right now, but it definitely feels like I'm rediscovering or discovering that I'm not quite the same.
There can be quite of a big grieving process actually happening sometimes too, right? I'm not saying per se for you, but it's just in general, we often think of grief as something that you only experience when you lose someone. But it's also when you lose something, like your own health declining, or something being just taken away from you, right? Like the possibility of not exercising the kind of way that you used to, or just a lifestyle that kind of got taken away, right? With now having medication being thrown in there, and so I don't know.
Yeah, agree. Glad you mentioned that word, because that is the. I think that is what's happening. And I remember shortly after my operation, it was like a month after, because I had to be a bit more independent. But I went to Scotland. I went to a Buddhist monastery for a little bit just to take some time out, and then I stayed in a little cabin, and it had a little fireplace outside, and so I made a point of. Having a fire by myself and kind of going through that process of like, okay, almost a ritual of some sort. I mean, we don't really have rituals in at least in my culture, where we don't really have that as much as we used to. But there was something nice about just having a fire, kind of saying, okay, this part of me is gone or going now, and so this is there was this. I like the kind of symbolism of that. It was quite.
I love that.
It's quite helpful.
I think people with heart disease, me included actually, right? It's just after my cardiac arrest that I sort of had all this more on my mind, which is just the last 4 years. But having some kind of a ritual exactly to really know, there is actually a grieving process perhaps that I'm going through, to recognize that. I think a lot don't recognize it actually, that's what they're experiencing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. The tendency is just to carry on, I think, isn't it? Just to you've got to carry on because life demands that. But I think it's important to take the time and mark the changes, right?
I'm looking at my questions. I got like one last question, but feel free to add more in the end, right? If you want to add more, but again, like all this. Yeah, your life has been changed in quite a lot of ways very recently. What to you has been actually helpful? Like, where have you found some kind of a, I don't know, some safe space or some thing, some activity perhaps, I don't know, where you could find some kind of a support or even some way to escape maybe sometimes from the reality, because that's sometimes healthy too, I think.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes that's just what you need. I mean, honestly, Ellis, the Heart Warrior Project. I mean, I've got my mug.
Hey, cheers, man.
Cheers. I mean, that has been huge. I think I only joined the first like online meetup three months after my surgery. It took me a while to kind of get to that point where I was ready to talk to other people and that sort of thing. But it's been immensely helpful. Sometimes you get on and you don't say anything, or you mostly listen, and even that is just great, just to hear people. And everyone's going through very obviously similar things, but then they experience it differently, and different diseases, different stories, whatever. And then even from that, I've managed, Jamie and Karen have got in touch, and so we get to chat with Jamie as well, and speaking to Karen soon. So that has just been super helpful. Honestly, that's the biggest thing that's helped. Other things,
connecting with people who also are going through something similar.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely. That helps to offset that feeling of loneliness that you talked about. No question. Yeah.
Because I didn't ask this question to get this out of you, right? Yeah. But I'm happy that you shared it, and that's really all.
You set it up.
That means a lot to hear, right?
Yeah,
for me.
oh, of course.
But I'm also just in general curious if there's maybe something else that helps you, deal with all this, if any.
I mean, one of the things that helps me, or helped me before as well, just generally with life's ups and downs and challenges, a big thing for me is spending time in nature, particularly in the forest, and so that is always a source of healing in some way. I've been able to do it a little bit less recently, just because I've been on the move a lot, but like here where I am, this is actually the town where I grew up, here in Tervuren, and there's a beautiful forest just on the edge here. And so I'm really looking forward to just having that nearby. There's nothing like, just a walk in the forest, sitting under a tree. For me, obviously there's all the science around it of how incredibly beneficial it is for physical and mental health. But you don't even need to know that when you just, at least for me, when you're there to feel it. Exactly. So I'd say that's another thing that always helps me. So it's both the being with people, connecting with people through like the Heart Warrior Project, but then also the time alone to be in, to connect with yourself, I guess. So,
I think it's important to know some safe spaces where you can go to when it's getting a bit too much.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And exactly, I think it's even better if you have a couple of options, like one where you need, or where there's other people, and one that you can just do all by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
you need both, I think. Well, at least I do. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Okay, and that concludes this episode with George. I hope that, there was something that George shared, or that I shared, that, can help you on this journey that you're on. It's not easy, life with a heart disease, if you, have one. But hopefully, there were some insights, something that, I'm not gonna say can make this journey all of a sudden easy, but just slightly, a little bit easier. Now, don't forget that this episode here with George is actually a part of a very in-depth episode/video about life with heart disease, where George, Karen, another member out of our community, and me, alongside with Dr. Sears, share a whole bunch of things about life with heart disease. So George, Karen, and me share from our own personal experiences some takeaways and insights, and then Dr. Sears, who does just incredible work around heart disease and heart health, and he's a clinical health psychologist, right? He shares his professional insights on how to navigate this. Check the description, as I will place a link there to find the episode/video, or just scroll through the list of episodes on whichever podcast app that you're using, or if you're watching on YouTube, you will also likely find it quite easily. With that, thank you for joining me and George here in this episode, and I hope that I get the chance to welcome you on another one. Until then, this is Jellis Vaas signing off.